Now for the plot of Team Sonic Racing. Amy says she and Omochao and Big are having a picnic and wants Sonic and his friends to join her. Since when does she hang out with Big and Omochao? They aren't exactly close friends. They have almost nothing in common, and there's nothing about them that would inspire her to want to get to know them better, especially not Omochao. And Sonic says he got invited to a race by a ridiculous looking character with nothing but boring dialogue. Why does he talk so much? Amy, Knuckles, and Sonic don't trust him since he reminds them of Eggman. But because Sonic loves a challenge, he agrees to go with them anyways. Which is only cool because it doesn't result in him getting blown up by a car that's actually a trap. I'll never mention these specific characters saying they don't trust him again, so it can be as non-repetitive as possible. It's explained that the winner of the racing tournament gets to keep his car. That's ridiculous, and Tails lampshades it, revealing he doesn't trust him either. And no wonder when he doesn't care if they die or not. The reason this plot sucks is that most of it is padded out by the characters saying they don't trust Dot-on-Paw, when that doesn't need to be done more than once. Think of how much money and time they'd have saved that way, and you'd see there's no excuse, unless they were literally forced to have that much cutscene time. I like that Sonic and Big are having fun with the racing. Tails says the technology is advanced. That's all he does to express that so far. It's very boring. Throughout the entire game, it's not like he's getting super excited about it, so it's not done in an entertaining way. Even Amy says his tech is amazing, and it's so fast it's scary, even though she's been carried by Sonic while he was running before, and is fast in Sonic Heroes. It must be faster than Sonic. Seriously, how is she topping Tails in the Geek Out department? It's weird in a meta sense to see Amy getting along with Omochao, but he is nice. It's sympathetic that Big misses his pet, and it's good that he's written to say that to prove that the writer didn't forget him. What faint praise. The last racer in every lap will be eliminated until only the fastest remains, apparently. I'm just confused because they all survive it with no injuries. Why does Sonic agree to it? It's like he has total faith in his friends to not get hurt while they're obligated to stay in the race cars, for no reason. And Vector's sources also informed him of the contest. It's racist of Blaze to say Tanuki are all tricksters. Anyways, this guy must have interdimensional portal tech and time travel tech. That's even overpowered for Eggman. Why does he invite these two? How did he know about them if he's an alien? Unless he was spying on Mobius. He must have known about Sonic's escapades. But what made him start spying on the planet before Eggman started causing trouble? A cash prize is all that's needed to motivate Vector, which is justified because he needs the money. Cubot calls Eggman forgetful, and Cubot's called stupid instead of himself, and Cubot misses his point because at least he was called special. Why does Tails nervously lie to Knuckles? He's supposed to trust him. It's not like him to instantly give up instead of trying to ask him what he's talking about. Why does he say no funny business like he doesn't trust Tails to be a good person? If he doesn't trust him, why doesn't he ask him what he was talking about? All he'd have to do is threaten him. Why would he object to cheating in a dangerous race? Whatever helps him survive is worth it. The pacing in these cutscenes is faster than I thought, but still annoyingly slow. Dot-on-Paw says the team belonging to Eggman is joining the race. Cubot's offended that the Egg Pawns are Eggman's team instead of them, and Orbot justifies that they need to maintain the power levels of the unstable core and take care of the Veggie Garden. I like that's revealed he has a Veggie Garden, because it makes sense that he'd save money having lettuce and tomato for his cheeseburgers get grown for him. This confirms that Eggman would be the type to have a greenhouse. Shadow's arrogant and standoffish to Sonic, and he's impressed enough to admit that he could be useful to him in stopping Eggman's plans. Shadow doesn't trust Dot-on-Paw either, and plans to crush both him and Eggman, when he isn't going to end up killing Dot-on-Paw, when he could easily do so in a second. so he must be just lying to sound cool, and he doesn't really have the motivation. You can't establish that he'd like to crush Eggman without making me wonder why Eggman lived this long. Because he's going to be close to him eventually, and at that point, why doesn't he just cast control towards him and then kill him? It's not like he knows Sonic would stop him, because he's fine with telling him about this, and Sonic isn't objecting to it. Naturally, because he tried to ram into him as Super Sonic in Sonic 3. Silver says Eggman and Dot on Paw are working together. Why didn't Silver telekinetically grab them when they were talking about an engine? It sure is convenient for the villains that apparently Posto 6 Silver is too wimpy to even risk injuring people with telekinesis. He could have ended the story right here, because he could have threatened Eggman into telling him what was going on by saying he wouldn't let him go until he told him the truth. And then why wouldn't he just carry him to a jail? What are the chances both Sonic and Shadow would say the same thing? Rouge says she doesn't trust Dot on Paw because he's working with Eggman, and Omega's here too out of nowhere. Omochao doesn't express opposition to his plan to kill Eggman, and just defines what the word means. You'd think a good robot would be opposed to killing in general. Amy tells Big that just because someone gives you a gift doesn't mean they're nice, which is good for giving a valuable lesson to kids. Too bad it drags on to make Big look stupid for the first time in canon. Assuming the racing games even are canon. Sonic taunts Eggman, and Orbot says he lost over 271 times before. I doubt that applies to all of the canon times he fought him, since there aren't even 100 official Sonic games. So he's referencing a bunch of off-screen incidents. And Eggman sends a ton of robots after them for the heroes to take forever discussing. Eggman says he can build them faster than they can break them. That makes no sense. Someone would stop him from building them if he was right next to them. He must be talking to them through a PA system. And anyways, wouldn't he have his robots mass manufactured by robots and automatic machines in general? Because that's much faster than building them all by hand. It's annoying that Big trusts Dot on Paw for so long. He says Wisps like nice people and they like him. So Amy says Big might have a point. She should say that acting nice outwardly doesn't mean you're a good person, just that he's only polite to the Wisps. Instead she has a bad message. Orbot, Snarky, and Eggman isn't satisfying for me because I always wonder why he isn't even punished, let alone why he's able to do that. There's nothing interesting to talk about in this section of the story because it's nothing new. Sonic goes from telling Silver to get his head in the game to saying it'll make him look silly in the race 2 different times, when he doesn't really remember him trying to kill him. So he's a jerk to him for no reason in the games too. Blaze tells Silver good job and gets thanked and cares enough about him to ask what's going on with him, even though they're complete strangers. Well, the protagonist didn't care. Silver's being a worrywart, and he doesn't have precognition. Cubot gets jealous when he sees Eggman with other robots. It's not entirely weird because Eggman's his father by robot standards, so it's like being jealous of your siblings spending more time with their parents. Big warns Amy there's someone hiding nearby. Somehow Amy doesn't listen and only says that's nice. That's out of character. At least he enjoyed getting to see a cloud. Blaze says people lie to her daily because she's a princess. I guess out of fear. That comes out of nowhere. She wears nothing but the same outfit every day. So what would they lie to her about, if they're not lying about how good her clothes look? Tails is Vector's source. That's less lazy, but makes the world feel small. Why is it telekinetic turning to Omochao for help? He wants a way to supervise the whole track, because one person can't do that. What he should say is, he can only hover for so long. Omochao says a whole lot of people will be required to do that. The Chao. Why are both Hero and Dark Chao in the audience together? If Dark Chao are evil, wouldn't they be fighting the Hero Chao? Silver thanks the scrappy character of the series. Seriously, wouldn't Hero and Dark Chao be from 2 different places? one being a home for abused Chow. Orbot says he likes lists, so that's sort of relatable. Amy sees the Chow in the stands pointing. What does Zavik think Chow are disgusting? How does he assume that? And Orbot tells Eggman off for always keeping the mic button held down. Eggman's incompetence is the only interesting thing about this plot, and I still don't like him being a parody of himself. Why is Zavik working for Eggman with no conscious sight? It's easy to assume he was brainwashed, because Eggman brainwashed Tails and Amy into being against Sonic and Pinball Party. And that's why he doesn't do that to Sonic's friends again. That would be too easy, and this is the same idiot who went to Sonic when he was asleep just to put slow shoes on him. Or it could be a robot that just looks like Zavik to confuse Sonic, so he can feel good about himself for confusing him. The meta reason is, they somehow thought even one of the Zeti was popular enough to deserve being here. Danganronpa thinks people only show their true colors when angry, so clearly he had a rough life. Vector says Danganronpa owns the biggest car corporation in the universe and is the king of a planet named after himself. How does he juggle those two jobs? Now I feel like there aren't any people on that planet. Why does Big think both CEOs and kings are always nice? That's impossibly stupid for anyone. The only way he'd be nice is if he's a constitutional monarch, in which case it would make sense that he'd have nothing to do. Danganronpa is also a perfectionist. How is he both an engineer and a president of a company? That's a lot of work. 2 different college courses. If he knows about the heroes, he would know about Tails, so why didn't he go to Tails for help? Danon would have been popular from his personality. So it's too bad his stupid design killed that potential by guaranteeing no one would want him back. How does he generate energy from the racers? Well, I guess for the same reason that animals generate energy for badniks. But it's confusing because it's not like there's a roof over their heads when they're in the cars. And when animals in a badnik, it's surrounded. Amy apologizes to him for the whole he must be working for Eggman thing, even though I'm pretty sure he was. Why does she talk like he wasn't? Sonic thinks Dodon's a good guy now because he's very simple-minded in his way of thinking. If he was good, he wouldn't have said in front of him that some of them might not survive the race. Silver spends time annoying Eggman, who implies that he wants the engine energy to kill Sonic, and is easily pressured into admitting he hired Zavik to steal the thing, rather than making a robot like Metal Sonic do it. I can understand not simply using Zavik to fight Sonic, because Zavik failed at that before. And it makes sense he wanted to meet him by using him as a mere grunt to race for him. It's amusing that Big sucks at explaining things to Amy. But it's a joke with no punchline because the heroes don't react. They just immediately assume he was talking about a kidnapping. Why have a scene where Donon's worried about the engine not getting enough energy? Eggman stopped the engine from getting completed. This is a game where Eggman's humiliated the most. Colors has nothing on this. At least in that game, he was having things get accomplished the entire game. The heroes show up, and it's explained that they beat his robots, and Sonic challenges him to a race Zavik loses. Sonic tells Eggman to release Danon, as I'm wondering why nobody's questioning why Zavik's working for Eggman. And he says about that. Another thing repetitive about the story is Eggman constantly sending egg pawns after the heroes. Who cares? He wonders how they could have beaten Metal Sonic. A robot is all about speed. But if he's constraining himself to a car, of course he might lose. And he says that any words out of him would have only made him angrier, which finally explains away why he doesn't let him talk anymore. Why does Eggman talk like he pays people when Zavik says he isn't getting paid, making it confusing that he's working for him without the SETI? It's like he's talking like he wishes he was paying people. But why wouldn't he pay them then? And why would Eggman wish he paid people? Why does the story keep having Don and Eggman talk to each other? It's boring. All I had to do was establish once that they needed to keep having people race to give the engine more energy. And that would build up all the tension needed. It'd still be fake. We know they'll fail. Why does Don think someone who kidnapped him is gonna let him use the engine for what he wanted? He's actually surprised he stole it. even though he implied he was cynical earlier, and he must be if he doesn't care if people die in his races. I guess it's just that he's stupid. The monster machine went crazy and is heading for a place Eggman doesn't want it to. I guess someone was incredibly incompetent. Why is there an S after fortresses? Sonic tells his friends to grab the guys who can't fly to get them out of the airship. He takes the situation seriously. The writers have learned since Colors. Sonic's character is perfect in this game. He's not cracking jokes and snarking for way too long. I wish Tails was the one making the plan though. I get why Sonic does it because he's the main character, but Tails is supposed to be smart. And there's no point in Tails being here if he's not gonna do anything smart. Amy's worried about Sonic when his fangirl should have assumed he'd survive already. Even Shadow had more faith. All the race cars were blown up. Dodon says that he'll give them all new cars as a reward for saving his life. And Sonic's fun-loving once again by looking forward to them all racing again right away. This was a boring story, one of the most repetitive ones in the series, and the most disrespectful game to Eggman. At the same time, the only interesting thing about the story was that it kept looking uncharacteristically incompetent in new ways, because it was the only creativity it had.